Giblyn family, how are you? This is Mrs. Muldowney. I am the principal of your school, and I'm so happy to be here with you this evening. I have an amazing panelist with us, and I would like to introduce them to you in just a moment. But I would like to say that we at Giblyn have very much missed our children, and we are looking forward to seeing them in the next couple of weeks. As you know, there's a lot of information. You've heard a lot. Our superintendent has had many meetings, and we know that there are so many questions that you still have, and we hope to be able to answer some of them tonight. We hope that you're safe, and we just want you to know that you are bringing your children back to an environment that will be safe for our children, engaging, and meaningful for all of our kids. And that's what we're working towards. So welcome, and I hope that we answer many of your questions. So before we begin, I'd like to introduce you to our panelists. Glenn Stewart is the Assistant Director for Pupil Personnel Services, and he is joining us this evening. We have Ms. Lederer, our Assistant Principal that everybody knows. Mr. DiGiovanni is a fourth grade teacher and a lead ELA teacher. Ms. Lorraine Brown is one of our 4 reading specialists, and she is here to lend some very important information. We have Ms. Kelly available and with us this evening, who is going to talk to you also, and she is our math specialist. And we have Michelle Velasquez. She is our translator and a teaching assistant at Giblyn, and a jack of all trades, and a happy, spirited, wonderful person that your children get to know very well. So what we'd like to start with is, of course, you've probably heard already that our first day of school for all kids will be September 4th. And that will be a remote day. That'll be a day where our children will be logging on remotely. They will not physically be in the building, but they will be in touch with the teacher who will be working with them. Our first day of school for in-person learning, that is for the children of the hybrid model, will be on Tuesday, September 8th for cohort 2, and Wednesday, September 9th for cohort 1, and we'll explain what that means.
Hi, everybody. Again, thank you.
Ms. Velasquez.
Oh,
Missy is going to.
You're right.
El primer día para todos los estudiantes será el viernes, el 4 de septiembre, solamente por internet, instrucción por internet solamente para los estudiantes, el 4 de septiembre. Ha sido un cambio desde el 1 de septiembre hasta el 4 de septiembre, así que para que sepan, el primer día es el 4 de septiembre en instrucción cibernética. El primer día para estar en persona para el grupo 2 va a ser el martes, el 8 de septiembre, y para el grupo 1 va a ser el 9 de septiembre, miércoles.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So we know that we've done a lot of talking about the 2 models that we're using as we return to school. There's the hybrid learning model and the 100% remote learning model. So if you've chosen the hybrid learning model, that means that if your students are in kindergarten or first grade or in any of the self-contained special education classes, they'll be inside the building Monday through Thursday, and then Friday they'll be doing remote learning. If your students are in grades 2 to 4, which I know many of you are, those students will be alternating days between coming into school and doing online learning. For those students, Fridays is also a remote day. If you've chosen the hybrid model, you don't have to do anything. You will be getting, you'll be told which cohort your child is getting placed into. The letters will be going out tomorrow, and you should have that information by the weekend. In terms of the remote learning, if you've chosen remote learning, that means that there will be a mix of synchronous and asynchronous learning, live and independent work throughout Monday through Friday. Monday through Thursday will be alternating days of instruction, and Friday will be an online remote learning day. If you want the remote learning model and you have not yet chosen it, that must be done immediately. You must contact the school building immediately so that we can make sure that your child is placed into that model.
Si escogen el modelo de aprendizaje híbrido para kinder y para primer grado en persona de lunes a jueves en Giblyn, la escuela de Giblyn, para segundo y hasta cuarto grado van a ser día de por medio en persona viene siendo o martes o lunes y miércoles o martes y jueves de por medio. Y tienen, claro, tienen instrucción cibernética también. Los viernes van a ser distancia cibernética para todos. O sea que los estudiantes solamente van a estar en la computadora los viernes, no en persona. Si usted escoge el modelo de híbrido, no necesita contactar la escuela, solamente necesita saber cuál grupo va a ser, su hijo va a pertenecer a cuál grupo y lo van a saber en el fin de semana. Si escogen aprendizaje 100% de remoto, para kinder a cuarto grado va a ser un mixto sincrónico en persona y en independiente tareas, de lunes a viernes. Y si, oh, sorry, I just wanted to read the bottom. Y si escoges aprendizaje 100% por internet, entonces, y todavía no lo ha hecho, sí puede contactar a la escuela inmediatamente al número que ve en la pantalla, 516-867-5260.
Okay, so we're first going to go into a little bit more detail in terms of the hybrid model. So once again, students in kindergarten first and self-contained special education classes will be in the building Monday through Thursday and then have remote learning on Friday. If your students are in grades 2 through 4 and you've chosen the hybrid learning model, they will be assigned a cohort and they will be coming in on alternate days. For example, cohort 1 will be in the building on Mondays and Wednesdays, and cohort 2 will be in the building on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Any days that the child is not in the building, they will be doing online learning. Fridays for all students is remote learning, but that is especially set aside for small group instruction, extra help. It's all at the teacher's discretion of what we need to work with which students, so that schedule will be a little bit more flexible. Again, the cohort information is going to be mailed out tomorrow, so you will get that information soon.
Para el modelo híbrido, los estudiantes que van a asistir en persona tienen día de por medio, aparte de su aprendizaje en cibernética. Los estudiantes en kinder, primer grado y educación especial van a asistir en persona de lunes a jueves. Para grados 2 hasta el 4 van a tener grupos asignados. Viene siendo como el grupo 1 va a asistir de lunes y miércoles, grupo 2 va a asistir martes y jueves. Y mañana, si Dios quiere, le vamos a mandar toda la información para que le llegue para el fin de semana.
Okay, so just to give everyone a little bit of an understanding of what the school day will look like, we are trying our best to keep it as normal as possible with making sure we're using all the safety precautions to keep the kids safe as well as the staff. When students come into the building, they're going to have their temperatures taken and they're going to be going directly to their classroom. After that, the lessons will be happening. The teachers will be incorporating as many lessons as they can, make it fun and engaging. We want the kids to really enjoy being back in school, so that's one of our big priorities. Then lunch and all specials will take place in the classroom, so the students will not necessarily be leaving the classroom for those periods. The specials are gym, art, music, library. Also, after that, students will continue with their lessons, and then students will pack up, head home for the day. One thing that's really critical to the success of the school year is going to be that the students are bringing their Chromebooks back and forth to school with them. It's crucial that we have them ready and able to use the technology that they have at their fingertips. And what we're going to make sure that we do as teachers is balance the time that they are on the Chromebook in school so that they're getting a balance of text, actual textbooks, paper and pencil, and the technology so that they are ready in case of any situation. Also, time is going to be built in throughout the day for brain breaks. We know that it's going to be a transition to come back into school, but we're going to do brain breaks. We're going to make sure that there are times for the students to be moving and just getting out of their seats so that we can try to make sure that all the students are comfortable.
Okay, el ejemplo del modelo híbrido para los estudiantes en persona va a ser lo siguiente. Los estudiantes llegan a la escuela, le toman la temperatura y van directamente a su clase. Después llegan a su clase, están con sus maestras, están haciendo cosas de aprendizaje, tienen su almuerzo, tienen sus especiales como arte y música. Todo eso va a ser dentro de la clase. Después de eso, los estudiantes siguen con sus maestras aprendiendo diferentes modificaciones para estar sano y salvo. Y claro, siempre tienen que regresar y ir a la escuela con sus Chromebooks porque es algo muy importante que ellos siempre van a usar sus Chromebooks y van a estar empacándolo y regresándolo a la escuela el día siguiente. También va a haber mucho tiempo durante el día para que los estudiantes tengan un poquito de receso, para que sus cerebro tenga un poquito de receso también y van a siempre mantener su distancia social durante estos recesos.
Can I just interrupt and also tell parents that if your children, all children who need a Chromebook can receive a Chromebook from the Freeport schools. And if you have not picked one up and you have a child who is in need of one, if you can go tomorrow between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., you'll be able to pick one up at Freeport High School in the back where you pick up the grab and go and where they were distributing Chromebooks earlier. But if you do not have one, there was an opportunity for children to get them a couple of weeks ago. I urge you to please go tomorrow and pick them up. Call us if you have any problems or issues. I can translate this. Déjame traducirlo. Para aquellos padres que necesiten un Chromebook, una libreta, una tableta para los niños que no los tengan, nosotros le vamos a proveer uno, pero si no han tenido oportunidad de recoger uno, por favor pueden ir mañana entre las 10 de la mañana y la 1 de la tarde, y si tienen algún problema con eso que no puedan llegar, por favor llámenos. Thank you.
In terms of the online learning, when the students are not in the building, if you've chosen the hybrid model, this is going to be time for the students to be continuing working on skills and strategies that they've been working on in school. So the way that we're looking at the days that they are home is that they are extensions of essentially the school day. The teachers are going to make sure that everything that we're working on in school is transitioning to what they're doing at home so that they have a good understanding of what they're supposed to be working on. So they'll be completing independent work. They may be working in small groups or extra help sessions if the teacher asked for that. And again, they're going to be working on things like virtual field trips, museum tours, things like that to get them excited. And again, on days where they are not in the building, completing assignments will count as their official attendance. So it is crucial that the students are completing their work so that they get marked present for that day.
Para el modelo híbrido, es muy importante que los estudiantes completen todo su trabajo que ha sido asignado por la maestra. Es muy entonces también van a participar en diferentes grupos para hacer diferentes paseos virtual y van a estar con sus maestras en Google Meet. También van a participar en divertidos paseos a museos y para hacer tours y muchas más cosas. La extensión del día es muy importante que los estudiantes sigan su trabajo como normal. Va a ser muy importante que completen todos sus trabajos.
I just want to take a second also. I don't know if we explained how to ask the question. Ms. Lederer, do you want to explain how they can ask questions?
Yes, sorry, I was just answering some. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see if you move your mouse down toward the bottom and hover, you'll see a bar pop up and there's a Q&A that you can type questions into. Some of them we'll answer as we go. Some of them we know they'll be answered later in the presentation, so we'll hold off on answering that because we know it will be answered. And some we may not have an answer for, but we'll do the best we can. At the end, we'll try to finish any ones that we didn't get to.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to just take a quick turn to the remote learning model. If you've chosen the remote learning model, that means your student is not coming into the school building. The remote learning model is going to consist of using Google Classroom, just like we were in the spring, and using Google Meets, which is, again, virtual meetings online. The teachers will be Freeport school teachers. I know that we're making an effort to make sure that they're also Giblyn teachers, but that's not necessarily going to be the case for every student. It will be teachers from Freeport, though. In terms of the schedule, students will receive a schedule for when they will be doing synchronous work, which is live interactive work with their teacher, and when they will be doing asynchronous work, which is independent assignments off of what they're doing. They'll get that schedule for Monday through Thursday. again, they're going to have, out of Monday through Thursday, 2 of those days will be synchronous work where they'll be with the teacher, and 2 of those days will be asynchronous work where they will be completing assignments on their own. Friday is again going to be the same type of extra help day as it is for the hybrid model, where teachers will be pulling students for small groups. Asynchronous instruction, they'll be giving them assignments to complete, but it's really on a needs basis for each student.
Si usted ha escogido la opción de que su estudiante, su hijo, su hija va a aprender 100% en el Internet, entonces vamos a seguir lo mismo que estábamos haciendo durante la primavera con Google Classroom y Google Meet. Va a ser las plataformas para los estudiantes aprender en este tipo de modelo. Todas las maestras van a ser de Freeport. Estábamos tratando que fueran de Giblyn, pero igual van a ser todas de Freeport, que le van a dar la instrucción a sus hijos. Va a haber una agenda donde los estudiantes van a recibir sincrónico y también independiente, de lunes a jueves. 2 días sincrónico en vivo y 2 días independiente. Los viernes van a ser para extra ayuda en grupos pequeños si es que lo necesitan.
Last night we got a lot of questions on this. If parents want to change their student from the hybrid learning model to the remote learning model, or the other way from the remote learning model to the hybrid model, we're asking that that those changes be done at the beginning of each marking period. So that's approximately 10 weeks. The request does have to be made 2 weeks prior to the end of that marking period, and I'm sure we will be communicating that date specifically of when we'll need that. But they do have the option as time goes on to switch back if they need to.
Si quieren en algún momento cambiar su hijo de aprendizaje en el Internet a híbrido o viceversa, pueden hacerlo al principio del próximo periodo de marca. Entonces, que viene siendo como 10 semanas. Tienen que someter 2 semanas antes para cambiar a su hijo. Tienen que dejarnos saber 2 semanas antes. Los estudiantes que asistieron en persona pueden también cambiarse a remoto al principio del próximo periodo de marca también.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to stress how important communication is. It's always important for schools and families to communicate, but it is now more important than ever. We will be collecting contact information as we always have. There will be data forms, emergency cards, but please, please, please ensure that we have ways to reach you. And if your phone numbers and email addresses change during the year, please let your teachers know immediately, as well as the main office, so that we can update our records.
La comunicación es muy importante, más importante que nunca. Vamos a estar colectando información, es cómo podemos comunicarnos con ustedes, cómo se pueden comunicar con nosotros, porque es muy importante que tengamos sus números de teléfono, sus emails, sus direcciones, todo al día con sus maestras.
We do have many different ways of getting updates and information out to you, including teachers use different apps such as Dojo or Talking Points or Remind. The district website is a great resource, freeportschools.org. And we do have a PTA page on Facebook. If you are on Facebook, you can join our Leo F. Giblyn PTA page, as well as robocalls. Those are the calls that you get that are sometimes from Mrs. Muldowney for the school. Sometimes they're from Dr. Kane if they're from the district. And so if you see a phone call coming from an 867 number, please either listen to the message that is left or answer it. It's usually very important information. Oftentimes after we send out a robocall, we will get a lot of phone calls right after to the office asking if we called you, but it's just a recorded information. So please try to answer those phones or listen to the message before reaching out to the school. And as always, if you do have questions, please call Mrs. Muldowney, myself, Ms. Rathbun, and Ms. Barrier are the secretaries in the office, and all the staff members are always happy to help and answer any questions you have.
Tenemos muchas formas de comunicarnos con ustedes por medio del distrito, por medio de las direcciones cibernéticas de la escuela. Tenemos las aplicaciones en sus teléfonos celulares, tenemos llamadas robocalls, que son las llamadas grabadas que vienen del distrito. Si usted ve que su teléfono está registrando un número 867, es una llamada del distrito o de su escuela. Por favor, cojan el teléfono porque significa que haya algo importante de comunicarle. Tenemos también métodos por email y por Facebook. Tenemos una página de Facebook que también nos comunicamos por ahí con ustedes. Cualquier pregunta que tengan, siempre pueden llamar a la escuela de Giblyn, hablar con la señora Muldowney, hablar con la señora Lederer, a la señora Rathburn y la señora Barry, cualquier pregunta que tengan.
So arrival and dismissal is always a busy time at the school, so we need to ensure that we're doing it as safely as possible. Instruction does begin at 9:15, and students may start arriving at 9:05, but not before 9:05. They're not allowed in the building prior to 9:05. If they arrive after 9:15, they must come into the main entrance to obtain a late pass. Please follow these entrances and exits for all students. If your child is a bus student, they will enter and exit in the bus circle on Cedar Avenue. For second through fourth grade walkers or students who get picked up by their parents, they will enter and exit through the main entrance. And for kindergarten and first grade walkers and their older siblings, they will go through the doors on South Ocean, but north, close to Cedar. And as everything else this year, we're stressing safety and well-being of everybody. So please establish a consistent dismissal routine. Please only change it in dire emergencies. And if it does need to be changed, it needs to be in a written request. So if you know that your child needs to be picked up by you that day, instead of taking the bus, please send a note with your child to the teacher. If you can't send a note, send an email or send a note on Dojo or one of the apps that the teachers use, and at the last resort, you can fax to the office, but we do need it in writing.
La instrucción el día empieza para nosotros a las 9:15, a las 9:15 de la mañana. Para que sus hijos estén sanos y salvos, por favor no lleguen antes de las 9:05. Porque no lo van a permitir antes de las 9:05. Si los estudiantes llegan después de las 9:15, entonces tienen que entrar por la puerta principal que queda en la South Ocean Avenue y tienen que buscar un pase que están tarde por medio de la seguridad cuando primero entren. Y tienen que reportarse a su clase. Va a haber 3 maneras de cómo los estudiantes van a llegar a la escuela. Por la calle de Cedar Avenue vienen los estudiantes que llegan en el bus. En la puerta principal, los estudiantes de segundo, tercero y cuarto grados que caminan o que sus padres lo llevan. Y en la puerta norte de South Ocean, kindergarten y primer grado, de eso que sus hermanitos mayores están con ellos, van a estar en ese lado, en esa puerta. Y para que todo vaya bien y sea sano y salvo para sus hijos, es muy importante que tenga una rutina constante. Si algún día tiene que cambiar o no tiene que dejar saber que no lo va a llevar a la escuela o tiene que tomar el bus o hay algún cambio, por favor tiene que mandar algo escrito a la oficina para dejarnos saber que ha habido un cambio en la rutina.
And finally, we do, the code of conduct will get mailed home this summer, as it does every summer. Please take a few moments to review it. It is a required reviewing every year for parents and students, and especially the acceptable use of the internet policy. With the increased use of technology, it is super important for parents and students to understand what is acceptable when using the internet. So please take a moment to read that this summer, go over it with your students, with your children. It will be posted on the website in English and Spanish, and make sure it is sent back to school with your child, or if your child is learning remotely, you will have the ability to sign it remotely this year.
El código de conducta para los estudiantes sigue como siempre, pero esta vez va a ser muy importante que ustedes le den mucha atención a la policy de internet que va a ser, que lo va a recibir por el correo. El código de conducta va a estar en español y en inglés en el website de nosotros. Y también los parientes van a tener la oportunidad de firmar el código de conducta, y especialmente para el Internet, como estamos usando mucho el Internet hoy en día, tiene que seguir las reglas y tiene que estar de acuerdo que sus hijos están haciendo lo que tienen que hacer.
Good evening, parents. There are several important things that we need to make sure that you're aware of before your child comes back to school. There are several forms that we need you to fill out and prepare and return back to school. The student data form will be coming home. In the event of an emergency that we need to contact you, we need to get in touch with you as soon as possible without any delay. So we ask that you fill that form out and that you return it to your child's teacher on the first day of school. In addition, we ask that you complete and sign any in-district permission slips for neighborhood walks. If the class decides to go on a walking trip to Randall Park or down to the Nautical Mile for a lesson, we need that form signed. So if you could sign that and return it also on the first day of school. There are other required forms that will be included in the mailing, and we ask that you submit those. For example, if your child will be coming into school for in-person learning, you need to return the code of conduct and internet usage form that will be also mailed home to you. In addition, we ask that you ensure that the technology is ready. The children have been provided with Chromebooks, and for all the students who needed one. And if you are still in need of a Chromebook or have not picked one up, we ask that you contact Giblyn or call Dr. Murray at 516-867-5306. We also ask that you, when your child goes onto the computer, onto their Chromebook, that in case you're not aware, their sign-in is their user ID number, which is their student ID number, and plus freeportschools.com. For example, if their student ID number is 111111 at freeportschools.com, that's what you would enter into the computer in order for them to sign on. Also, in order to get internet access, there are a limited number of hotspots that are available for students who need it. And if you are someone who needs that, you need to contact Dr. Murray with any questions or requests at 516-867-5306.
Antes de regresar a la escuela, por favor, llenen todos los formularios que le lleguen, especialmente los formularios que tienen que ver con la información sobre si acaso hay una emergencia y necesitamos contactarlos durante el día o cuando sea, porque es muy importante que tengamos su información al día antes del primer día de clase. También, por favor, firmen los permisos del distrito, porque posiblemente van a haber caminatas o al parque o algo para que necesitamos el permiso de ustedes para que sus hijos puedan hacer eso. Todos estos formularios vienen en el correo y por favor mantengan ojo para que firmen todo y su hijo regrese con toda la información. También por favor, ten seguro que los Chromebooks y todo que sea de tecnología esté al día y esté funcionando. Por si acaso necesitan alguna ayuda, pueden contactar al Dr. Murray. El número de teléfono es 867-5306. Si acaso no ha buscado un Chromebook, puede ir a buscar el Chromebook y contactar a la escuela de Giblyn o al Dr. Murray. También tengan en mente que para el estudiante entrar a su Chromebook, a todos los estudiantes tienen un Student ID, una identificación de número con la dirección de freeportschools.com. Usualmente es el número @freeportschools.com. Todos los estudiantes entran así. Hay algunos estudiantes que no tienen manera de cómo entrar al Internet. Esto se llama los hotspots, que nosotros podemos tener disponible para los que lo necesiten. Por favor, llamen al Dr. Murray con preguntas sobre eso al 516-867-5306.
Okay, there are also some very important things that we need you to know. This week, you will be, a supply list will be mailed home. And some of the supplies that are listed are for in school and some will be for home. So we just ask that you follow the supply list that will be mailed home to you. We also ask that any personal belongings that you send to school with your child, we ask that you label them, you label the supplies, and you keep them in the pencil box for the student backpack. And more information will be in the supply list that comes home to you, that gets mailed home. In addition, water bottles. We're encouraging students to bring in a personalized or labeled water bottle. And the students will have a chance throughout the day to refill their water bottle at our filling stations within the school.
Ms. Velasquez, before you jump in, also the supply list is already on the Freeport website. So if you go to freeportschools.org, you can access the supply list. We as a building have tried to scale that supply list down because we are conscious of the fact that we're trying to keep all the kids' supplies separate from each other so that they have their own materials, which is why some are going to be for in school, some will be from home.
Cosas importantes para saber, va a haber una lista que le va a llegar por correo para dejarle saber qué necesita su estudiante, su hijo, su hija. Hay algunas cosas van a ser solamente para la escuela y hay algunas cosas que van a ser solamente para la casa. Estamos tratando lo más que pueda que los niños que siempre tengan sus propias cosas y que no tengan que cambiar con otro estudiante porque ya eso no se permite. Las cosas que tengan personal, todo tiene que tener su nombre, todo tiene que tener, o sea, su mochila, todo que tenga personal tiene que tener su nombre. También les sugerimos que traigan una botella de agua porque es muy importante que ellos puedan llenar su botella de agua en las diferentes estaciones que tenemos en la escuela para que ellos tomen su agua y que tenga su nombre en su botella de agua también.
When the bus tags are received in the mail, we just ask that you check the tag for accuracy to make sure that the information on it is correct. We ask also that you check the last line of that bus tag to check for the bus number, or if your child is a walker, to make sure that it says walker. And we ask that you fasten the bus tags to your child's book bag when you receive them. And if there are any questions regarding transportation, anything concerning a late bus or a complaint about a bus driver or a missed bus stop, we ask that you call transportation at 516-867-5220.
Cuando le llegue la etiqueta del bus, por favor chequen que esté correcto, chequen la última línea para ver el número del bus y también cojan esa etiqueta y la pongan bien en la mochila de los niños. El número de transportación es 867-5220 por cualquier pregunta y cualquier consejo, cualquier pregunta y cualquier cosa que quieran saber sobre el bus.
Good evening, parents. My name is Glenn Stewart, and I'm Assistant Director for Pupil Personnel Services and Special Education. At Giblyn, as well as at our other schools in Freeport, social emotional learning and well-being is very important to us. It's a priority for our students, staff, and parents. We're going to continue to offer support groups for students, staff, and parents. At Giblyn, we have a great support team. The school psychologist is Mr. Sever. Mr. Karras is our school social worker, and Ms. Ferrante is our school behaviorist. And also myself, if you need to contact me, I work out of the Atkinson building, and I can be contacted at 771-3469. And we're all here for you. So any questions, you can reach out to the school support staff, or you can reach out to me directly. Thank you.
La buena conducta y el bienestar también el emocional y social aprendizaje para sus hijos es muy importante y para todos los parientes con nosotros como comunidad. Nosotros sigamos dándole apoyo en grupos a los estudiantes, a los maestros, a los parientes. Tenemos al señor Seder, que es nuestro psicólogo. También tenemos al señor Karras, que es nuestro trabajador social. Y tenemos a la señora Ferrante, que también trabaja con el bienestar de sus hijos. Estamos aquí para ustedes. En cualquier momento nos puede comunicar y solamente comunicarse con nosotros para que se sientan mejor y sus hijos se sientan mejor.
Y para los padres que hablan español, mi número de teléfono es 516-771-3469. Okay, in terms of special education, our students will continue to receive their related services. They would receive speech if it's on the IEP, occupational therapy, physical therapy, hearing, vision, and mobility if it's on their IEP. Let's suppose a student has 3 days of services and they're only for hybrid 2 days out of the week. The third session will be online session, which will be done remotely. So whatever your IEP says for your child, we will support that IEP, even if it means that they have to get a session online. We also will be doing progress monitoring, meaning that when the report cards come out, you will be able to see your child's progress according to the teacher progressing monitoring. And we'll continue to have our special education meetings throughout the school year. Initial meetings are for children who will be considered for special education for the first time. Reevaluation would be students who came up for 3 years in special education, and they would get a new psychological or new educational evaluation and whatever related services they had. And program review is if a parent feels that their child is progressing well or not progressing well, a parent can request a program review at any time during the school year. And annual reviews occur automatically every school year, normally around April, May, and that goes over the progress of their child for the whole year.
Para la educación especial, los servicios que le van a seguir dando a sus hijos van a ser en persona o virtual, o sea de hablar, o sea de físico, para escuchar, para ver, van a ser o en persona o virtual. Para los reportes especiales van a implementar diferentes modos o maneras con grupos individuales y sesiones individuales de acuerdo al tamaño del grupo para los servicios que necesitan. También las veces, dónde va a ser, todo que sea relativo al tamaño del grupo. Si hay modificaciones, cualquier cosa que necesite, también hay diferentes ayudas y servicios para los niños. Vamos a seguir monitorándolos en su progreso y siempre van a haber las reuniones virtual para reevaluar cómo están, anual y para repaso del programa y todo.
Sorry about that. There are many questions about dual language. I know there was a question on here if you choose to have your child learn remotely, is there an option for the dual language program? And the response to that is yes. Students will continue, what is the same about dual language is that they will continue to learn in both English and Spanish in both models. What is different about dual language is that because of the schedule that we are working with, students will be in from first grade Monday through Thursday, and in the other older grades on two days a week. But the students will be taught in both languages each day. So their schedule might look like ELA in English and math in English, and then the teachers will switch. The children will remain in the same classroom, and the Spanish teacher will go in and conduct the rest of the subject areas in Spanish. So it will be still evenly distributed, and we will do our best to maintain that. And as with other programs, Friday is a flexible day, and learning will take place at home. Ms. Velasquez, I'll translate this in Spanish. Okay. Hay muchas preguntas acerca del programa dual, si va a seguir igual como antes, y lo que va a seguir igual es que vamos a instructar a los niños en 2 idiomas, como lo hemos hecho en el pasado. Lo que es diferente es que el horario, en vez de un día inglés, un día español, vamos a tener mitad de día en inglés y el otro mitad en español. Entonces, dependiendo de cuántos días a la semana los niños vengan, en primer grado son 4 días, cada día van a estudiar en los 2 idiomas. Los niños se quedan dentro del salón de clase, pero las maestras entonces intercambian y la maestra de español va a una clase y la de inglés a la otra. Así que el programa sigue exactamente igual, si todo se permite.
The students that are coming into the building, both synchronous live learning, there are certain expectations. We ask that, actually for the online synchronous learning, we ask that the students be prepared and that they're dressed and have eaten their breakfast or lunch before the learning starts. We're also asking that the students bring the supplies that the teacher asked for. For example, they come prepared for their session with their notebooks, pencils, whatever it is that the teacher would need for them to have to start the learning. We also ask that the students be organized. It's very important that they're organized and that they're on time to the scheduled session. So if they have a live meet on Google Meets with their teacher and they're asked to sign in to the meet at a certain time, we ask that the children sign in on time to the meet and that they have an organized location to work in, okay? And we ask that an adult will be nearby in the house in case the child needs help with maybe with their technology or something's happening. We just ask that a parent be nearby while the child is online learning with their teacher. We ask the children are focused during the session and that they participate in the sessions by asking and answering questions. We ask also that the students be respectful, which means that they keep the video on from the time that they sign in and log on to the Google Meet. We ask that they keep their video on so that the teacher and the other students can see them, and that they also have their microphone off unless they're ready to speak or ask a question or answer a question or participate. And again, it's very important that they sign in on time.
Para los estudiantes que van a estar aprendiendo, haciendo el aprendizaje en vivo, esperemos que ellos estén preparados, que estén ya vestidos, que hayan tomado su desayuno, todo antes que empiece el aprendizaje. Que traigan los materiales que la maestra le ha pedido, que sean organizados, que estén a tiempo para sus sesiones en vivo y que tengan una área organizada para ellos trabajar. También le pedimos que por favor haya un adulto cerca por si acaso ellos necesitan ayuda. Que estén enfocados, que participen en sus clases, aunque sea en vivo, que hagan preguntas y también tengan respuestas. Y también que sean respetuosos, que mantengan su video puesto en vivo, que mantengan sus micrófonos apagados hasta que estén listos para hablar y que siempre entren a tiempo a sus clases.
I just want to jump in for also 1 second. I saw a couple of questions about this. If, you know, our job as the teachers and together with you as parents, we're going to try to make sure that the online learning part of this is able to be done independently by the kids. So although we know that like you may not be able to be with them during the day because you're working, we're going to try to make sure that the assignments that we want them to complete, that they are capable of doing so on their own. And obviously, like Mrs. Moldani said in the beginning, if there is a situation where you need assistance, or if there is a situation where the child's having extreme trouble, that's when you can contact us and we can work something out. But just so that you can take a little bit of comfort in knowing that our job is going to be to try to get them prepared to do these things independently as best they can.
Do you want me to translate that?
Yes, please.
Okay. La idea es que todos trabajemos juntos y que los niños y ustedes se sientan confortables en el sentido que el trabajo y la tarea que le van a dar va a ser básicamente para prepararlos que puedan trabajar independientemente. Porque sabemos que los padres tienen que trabajar, probablemente no estén ahí o estén ahí la mitad de tiempo y no pueden estar enfocados tantos en los niños. Así que estamos preparando a los niños que puedan hacer su trabajo independientemente.
I'm just going to add something to that as well. For the students who are doing the solely remote option, they really are expected to be able to go on to the live sessions. They may not be able to do the assignments if you're working and you need to help them do the assignments, but they are expected to be on the live sessions so that the teacher can do the lessons with them. If there's, extreme cases, please call the school and we can speak to you individually.
Para los niños que están trabajando simplemente en el internet, se espera que ellos estén en las sesiones en vivo con sus maestras para que las maestras puedan ver que ellos están ahí, están participando.
For asynchronous independent learning expectations, we expect that all assignments that the teacher assigns to the students need to be completed because those assignments that the teacher gives them count as attendance. So when the teacher meets with them online for a Google Meet, or if they meet with them in class, in person, they're teaching them certain things. And then on the off days or the days where they're just at home for asynchronous learning, they're expected to complete those activities. So we need them to go on and completely follow the directions and do everything that the teacher asks because that actually counts as their attendance for that day. We're asking that the students log into their Google Classroom to find their daily assignments. Assignments will be posted daily and they need to log in and complete the assignments before they turn the assignment in or say that they've completed it. And we ask that you just double check that they have done that. We're also asking that the students, I also want to let you know, students will be working on review skills like I just said a minute ago. Most of the things that they will be asked to do on their own independently are things that the teacher either covered in person. If your child is coming a few days to school in person, the teacher would have covered certain things in class and they'll then ask them to complete independent activities online. And if your child is completely home for remote learning, when there's a Google Meet, the teacher will be going over certain skills and will ask the child then on those asynchronous independent days to complete activities that sort of mimic what they've been doing all together. So the students need to really follow the directions carefully and also to complete the entire assignment before they turn it in.
Para el aprendizaje independiente, la expectativa es que todas las tareas, todos los trabajos que le den las maestras estén completados porque eso va a ser parte de su asistencia. O sea que si no hacen el trabajo, es como que ellos no tuvieron parte de la clase tampoco. Necesitan terminar su trabajo, enseñar que terminaron el trabajo porque eso cuenta como parte de su asistencia. Entonces, los estudiantes necesitan entrar a Google Classroom para ver qué le está dando la maestra a diario, cuáles son sus trabajos que tienen que hacer a diario. Todos los días tienen que entrar a su Google Classroom para verificar lo que tienen que hacer. En el contenido, los estudiantes van a estar haciendo su trabajo, pero más como repaso de lo que ya le han enseñado en la escuela. Los estudiantes necesitan seguir las reglas, las instrucciones muy cuidadosamente para poder completar todo su trabajo antes de dárselo a la maestra, antes de darle a clic para que entre su trabajo. Bien.
We just want to also make sure that you're aware on the Freeport Schools website, there is a page for the Freeport Learning Resource Center, which was active all last year, all last spring, and it's going to be active again this upcoming year. We've added a lot of different resources on there in terms of helping your child transition back into school, in terms of wearing the face mask, social distancing, how school will be different, and just trying to getting them prepared for that. Also throughout the year, other resources will be posted, so you can access that through the Freeport Schools website.
En la dirección de Freeport Schools hay muchos recursos para los padres poder ver, aprender, ver videos en cómo usar sus mascarillas, cómo mantener la distancia social, cómo va a ser la escuela diferente este año, cómo lavarse las manos, diferentes formas para ustedes aprender y para pasarle eso a sus hijos también.
Okay, so the school is focusing on preventing any kind of infection or disease. So some of the things we're doing clearly is to start teaching the staff and students to recognize the symptom of COVID. As you know, children will have a temperature check staff will be filling out a questionnaire at the beginning of every day to ensure that they're healthy. If a student is sick upon arrival, we will have another room that we'll call the waiting room, and that parents will be contacted so that you can pick up your child right away. And so we isolate them from the others. We are, all of the classrooms are, the desks have been removed, and we have a capacity of about 14 desks to a classroom. So the desks are all, and everything is situated in such that even with markers on the floor so that we know where the desks need to be placed and remain. Children and all of staff will wear face coverings, and we will focus on proper hand washing and teaching children and making sure that they wash hands prior to eating and after eating. And then there will be regular disinfecting of the building daily and within the course of the day. So we want to make sure that everybody follows these protocols, and we are being proactive about teaching our children that as well.
Did you want me to translate?
Oh, yeah, no, you can do it.
Okay. Para el bienestar de sus hijos y para el bienestar de todos en la escuela, tenemos acciones prevenidas para todos sobre la temperatura que le van a tomar a los niños siempre antes de entrar. También cómo manejar la situación cuando alguien tiene síntomas del coronavirus. También tenemos como enseñarle la distancia social, y tenemos diferentes planes para incorporar cómo hacer la distancia social para todos, cómo usar las mascarillas, cómo lavarse las manos, y cómo van a estar limpiando las aulas y los pasillos y la escuela de acuerdo a las recomendaciones del CDC.
And as we discussed, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we're going to be doing daily health check at Giblyn and all the schools in Freeport when children arrive and staff. We will also have a daily questionnaire prior to the arrival of students and staff, and the students will complete weekly questionnaires.
Estos son los detalles a diario para los chequeos. Van a estar a chequeo de temperatura cuando lleguen para todos que trabajen en la escuela y para los estudiantes. Van a tener que los que trabajan en la escuela van a tener que completar un cuestionario antes de llegar, y también los estudiantes van a tener que completar unos cuestionarios semanal.
Okay, what happens if there's a positive COVID case at a school? We're going to be complying with all the rules from the Department of Health in collaboration with Nassau County regarding the parameters, conditions, and scope of closure. Each closure will be dependent on the results of contact tracing and the advisement of the Department of Health.
¿Qué pasa si hay un caso positivo de coronavirus? Si hay un caso positivo en la escuela de Freeport van a notificar al condado de Nassau, del Departamento de Salud, para trabajar en colaboración sobre el condado de Nassau para las condiciones y cómo van a hacer los medios de cerrar si es necesario. Cada cerradura va a ser dependiente en los resultados de lo que pasa después que hay trazos sobre las personas que han estado en contacto con esa persona, y aviso con el Departamento de Salud.
And it's important to add that all the contaminated areas will be cleaned and disinfected as per CDC and Department of Health guidance.
También todas las áreas que han sido contaminadas van a estar bien limpiadas y desinfectadas de acuerdo a las guías del CDC y el Departamento de Salud del Estado de Nueva York.
And also, should anybody come down with the virus, they would not be able to return to school unless they've been released from quarantine and there's a doctor note involved, so we can feel safe about that.
Si hay alguna persona que está positiva, no va a poder regresar a la escuela hasta que pase el periodo de cuarentena y que tenga una nota del doctor que ya todo está sano y salvo.
So the district will be following all Department of Health and CDC and New York State guidelines for hygiene and sanitation. We'll be cleaning and disinfecting. Signage will be is posted around the building, and you will start. If you were in here, you would see that we have distancing on the floor, so to guide the children, and within the classroom, there is appropriate ventilation. I know that that is a concern for many parents. The filtration system, exists within a classroom. The air conditioners that are in right now bring in 20% air from outside when they're running. So so every 20 minutes you're bringing in air from the outside, and it's circulating it within the classrooms. We will conduct drills and social distancing with modifications. And then we'll work on all of the dividers. We will have everything in place when the children enter school on September 4th, 7th or 8th, whatever it is. So all of the procedures will be in place.
El distrito está siguiendo todas las guías sobre el estado de Nueva York, del Departamento de Salud, el CDC, y para seguir que todo esté bien con higiene, con desinfectar todo. En la escuela también hay diferentes símbolos y cosas para que los niños y las maestras siempre acuerden de mantener las guías en mente. También la ventilación de los aires acondicionados tiene un sistema donde cada 20 minutos entra el aire de afuera y ventila cada 20 minutos. El aire de afuera con el aire de adentro cada 20 minutos. También hay agua para los niños en las diferentes estaciones en la escuela donde pueden llenar sus botellas de aguas. Siempre vamos a tener prácticas para acordarse de mantener la distancia social y también cómo caminar en los pasillos. También tenemos divisiones en ciertas áreas y mantener en mente cómo entrar apropiadamente siempre a la escuela.
Good evening. We've been doing a lot of things. We're going to be doing a lot of things differently to continue safe practices for mealtime at school. So the meal plan in school will still be in place. However, the children will be eating breakfast or lunch in the classroom instead of going to the cafeteria. So the wellness plan will be followed. All the food will be individually wrapped for safety, and food allergies are taken into consideration for each class. The food menus are posted online so that you can see them at the website, so that you can provide an alternate if your child doesn't like the lunch. Children will be washing their hands before and after eating, and of course, no sharing of food or drinks will be permitted.
El almuerzo y el desayuno va a ser dentro de las clases, va a estar dentro de todas las clases para pre-K hasta 6º grado. Tenemos toda la comida individualmente forrada. También tenemos en mente todas las alergias y tenemos diferentes cosas que sus hijos puedan comer si acaso están alérgicos a una cosa. No se permite compartir ninguna comida ni ninguna bebida. Los niños van a tener que lavarse las manos antes y después de comer. Y siempre vamos a tener los menús que son las guías de siempre no compartir y tener que limpiar y estar al tanto con lo que son alérgicos. Y los menús van a ser de la escuela, va a estar en el website de la escuela.
For children who are remote learning, grab and go locations will be at Giblyn or Atkinson. They will consist of a cold breakfast and a hot lunch. Daily times for pickup are 9:30 to 12 at Giblyn and 10 a.m. to 12:30 at Atkinson.
Para los niños que están aprendiendo, haciendo su aprendizaje en el internet, le vamos a tener también almuerzo y desayuno en la escuela de Giblyn y la escuela de Atkinson. Pueden ir a buscar desayuno frío y almuerzo caliente durante las horas de 9:30 de 9:30 a 12 y de 10 por la mañana hasta 2:30 del día para el almuerzo.
To keep your children safe for transportation, busing is provided for all students who qualify for it. However, parents are encouraged, if they would prefer, to drop off and pick up their students in their own transportation. Bus capacity will be determined based on guidelines for the students, and the students must wear a face covering or mask at all times on the bus. The buses will be loaded starting at the back and filling up towards the front, and then unloading in reverse from the front to the back to prevent children from having contact with each other. All buses will be cleaned and disinfected several times during the day, and cameras on board the buses will be reviewed to make sure that everybody is in compliance.
Para el transporte se les sugiere a los padres que dejen a sus hijos en las escuelas y que vayan a buscar a sus hijos a las escuelas. La capacidad de los buses está determinada sobre las guías y estamos pidiendo que todos los niños tengan que usar sus mascarillas todo el tiempo. Para desembarcar y embarcar los buses va a ser de enfrente y atrás para que los niños no tengan mucha interacción. Desmontar los niños va a ser de atrás hacia adelante, hacia atrás, para que no tenga mucha interacción. Todos los buses van a ser desinfectados al principio del día, entre medio de diferente transporte durante el día. Y las cámaras en el bus van a estar siempre repasadas para saber si todos están siguiendo los protocolos.
Parents should not put their children on the bus if they're showing symptoms of COVID-19. Students should be wearing their face mask on the bus, and if they do not have a mask, one will be provided for them. If they have a medical condition or are unable to tolerate wearing a mask, the parents need to contact the building principal as soon as possible. Siblings of the students in the same household will be asked to share a seat on the bus. And students who do not comply with the rules will be taken off the buses.
El protocolo de transporte, los padres o guardianes que vean que sus hijos están presentando síntomas de coronavirus, le vamos a pedir que por favor no lo pongan en el bus. Los estudiantes siempre tienen que mantenerse con sus mascarillas durante el bus cuando estén en transporte. Los niños que no tengan mascarilla, se les va a dar una mascarilla. Vamos a tener mascarillas disponibles para ellos. Y los niños que tal vez tengan una condición médica que no pueden tolerar la mascarilla, tienen que contactar a su directora o director de sus edificios. Los hermanitos de la misma casa van a tener que compartir un asiento, y los estudiantes que no puedan seguir las reglas o los protocolos no van a poder montar en el bus. Le quitaremos el privilegio de montar en el bus.
And for the safety of the children and staff in the buildings, we're asking to limit the number of visitors in the building. Parent conferences will be done through Google Meet or by phone. Visitors are asked to call the main office and make an appointment if an issue cannot be resolved by phone or virtually. And please note that this also unfortunately includes the first day of school.
Para los visitantes, estamos tratando lo más de limitar los visitantes que lleguen a los edificios. Las conferencias de padres van a ser en Google Meet o por teléfono. Los visitantes necesitan llamar a la oficina principal para hacer una cita para saber cuándo pueden llegar. No pueden solamente llegar así sin cita. Y esto incluye el primer día de clases.
Okay, parents and panelists, thank you for all your help in presenting this. We hope that this has answered many of the questions. We do still have some questions left. We have about 5 minutes that we can answer some of them before we have to get log off. So panelists, if you want to take a look at them, and we can start responding to any of the questions that we see here that we believe didn't get answered, or Ms. Lederer, if you want to.
Yeah, so I have them grouped a little bit so I can kind of bunch a few together. So there's a few questions about masks. Do the students need to wear masks all the time, even when seated at their desk? And will teachers have someone to help them with the kids to make sure they're wearing their masks?
So,
Do you want me to answer that one?
oh yes, would you go ahead?
Okay, so in terms of students in general and special education students, some children won't be able to tolerate the mask, and they won't be penalized as long as we have documentation showing that they're on the spectrum with autism, or there's reasons why they cannot tolerate it. Maybe they have difficulty with tactile defensiveness. So, you know, like if you know your child will not be able to tolerate the mask, you need to get a doctor's note in writing, you know, stating the reasons why, and they can be exempt from wearing the mask, you know, the majority of the day.
Everybody else, though, will be expected to wear masks.
Correct.
For the remainder of the day, for the course of the day, there will be many opportunities for breaks from wearing the masks. The teachers will give the children those breaks. The desks are spaced 6 feet apart, so if we determine that the children are sitting and they can take the masks off for a small period of time, we'll do that. But yes, the answer would be that the children are expected to wear the masks. When they're out on the playground, the masks will likely come off, but we have to monitor the children so that they are socially distanced.
Por lo tanto, es obligado que los niños usen su mascarilla el día entero. Si acaso usted sabe que su hijo no va a poder tolerar la mascarilla por alguna condición médica, tiene que traer una nota, escribirle una nota a sus directoras para que sepan que su hijo o hija no va a poder tolerar la mascarilla. Las clases tienen 14, no más de 14 sillas, entonces es posible que durante el día le den un tiempo para que puedan bajar la mascarilla porque van a mantener su distancia social. Pero por lo tanto siempre tienen que tener su mascarilla el día entero.
There's a question about ensuring safety during morning arrival if it's only a 10-minute window.
Yeah, that's actually an excellent question. Arrival, we will have individuals outside to assist the children as they get in. And clearly, if there have to be some adjustments made to the procedure, we will, but we will have 2 doors where children will enter, as we said at the beginning of the presentation, and we will have individuals monitoring. We'll have staff members outside, myself, Ms. Lederer, and our security guards and teaching assistants and special teachers. So we're all going to assist with that arrival of and dismissal of children.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Por lo tanto, es una ventana de 10 minutos para cuando los niños lleguen a la escuela y entren al edificio. Vamos a tener suficiente personal ahí para que todo corra bien y todo sea a distancia social.
And there were a few questions about the number of students in a class, if they'll be able to see the way these children will sit or what a classroom looks like.
The desks are already in place. We have no more than 14 children in a classroom. 15 desks sit in a classroom socially distanced. So we can have up to 15 children, but we are keeping the class size to that. In some cases, it's much smaller. In other cases, it's up to 15. But we are keep trying to, make it safe, and other desks will not go in there. We actually went in physically to remove desks that were, and any furniture that was causing us to not to be able to distance the desks. And will you be able to see the classes? Yes, on the first day of remote learning, the teachers are going to try to do like a welcome with their classes online, and you'll be able to see the classrooms then. And we can certainly maybe prepare a little video for you to show you the inside of the school so that you feel more comfortable with what they look like.
La pregunta era que si se podía ver cómo va a ser las aulas, especialmente con la distancia social. No se permite más de 15 escritorios en la aula, nunca va a ser más de 15. El primer día de clase, las maestras van a tratar de preparar un video para que los padres puedan ver lo que están aprendiendo en el internet. Pueden ver cómo va a ser las clases en persona y van a poder ver cómo se mantiene la distancia social con los diferentes escritorios.
So there are a few questions left, but I think we're out of time.
Okay. We hope that we've answered most of your questions. We know that there are still a lot of questions floating around in your minds. And you can certainly call us with them. We'll try to answer some of them. We do have them here, and if we have your email, we can answer them. And then as you start getting information from us, I think you'll also, in addition to this, you'll be able to get the information that you need, or just call us. But the other thing that I would like to say is, please, it is so important. Tomorrow we plan on sending out, if you did not indicate that your child is working remotely, then we are assuming that they're staying in school, and we're placing the children into the cohort, and that information will go to you tomorrow. So please be on the lookout for that. But it's important for you to contact us if there's a problem, and we need to know almost immediately. And we thank you for your flexibility and for staying tuned, and truly for just being supportive. We are going to try to make this as normal and as wonderful and engaging for our children as they would any other year. So we thank you for that support. Gracias por el apoyo a todos. Y lo más importante de saber es que si hay alguna pregunta o tienen que cambiar algo, lo tenemos que saber inmediatamente. Mañana van a salir las asignaciones de cuáles son los días que van a estudiar sus niños, y todo lo demás, cualquier otra pregunta que tengan, por favor llamen a la escuela y con mucho gusto le contestamos cualquier pregunta que tengan. So thank you everybody, and thank you to my panelists, and we appreciate everybody's participation, and have a wonderful night.